I'd like to welcome to the Love and Reality podcast from season one of The Snake. Brett, how are you doing today, man?
Feeling fantastic, brother. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Excited to chat with you. Obviously, it would have been probably much funner for me to be able to let me introduce the winner of the Snake season one. But I digress there. But for me, I loved watching your gameplay, and I can't wait to dissect a little bit some of that and where I maybe think that you possibly went wrong. I like, dissecting that as well, which I'm sure has probably ran through your head about 500 times since the show, since you came in second place, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
let's take audiences back a little bit. Like, who is Brett? Tell us a little bit about Brett, obviously outside of the show, before the show, and all those good things.
Damn, who is Brett? Brett is definitely an imperfect man, I'll tell you that. Come from a good family in small town in Illinois, got into fighting early on, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and all that. Played a little bit of college football, realized football wasn't for me. I'm a lot better at fighting, stuck with that. Ended up taking a little bit of time off school, like a semester, a year off travel, gain some perspective in the world, try to, do the whole fitness thing, inspire people. Still do, Finished off school in Chicago, took care of my grandfather who had dementia for a while, some more traveling. I care about my family and my loving friendships. I'll say that. And then about a year and a half ago, moved to Tampa, started up a business, trying to get as much sunlight as possible, trying to live life to the fullest, man. Ended up going to the middle of Argentina to do some crazy, what is it, Hunger Games show that I thought it was. And then here we are.
Talk to me a little bit about the early stages, right? Because I love that the bond that you formed with Jack and Devontae early on, right? Because I feel like that part of the journey was the start for you. However, talk to me a little bit about that bond, but also talk to me about the bond formed with Derek, because at that point, that's where the flip for me happened with you in seeing that you realized that maybe you needed to have kind of two sides of every story. You had your boys over there with some girls, though. You're like, maybe I'm the odd one out type of scenario. But I feel like that relationship propelled your latter part of the game, while the early stages with, your early faction there as well. Talk to me about both of those.
Okay, so Jack and Devontae, our brotherhood or bromance is what you want to call it. I mean, it is a bromance. I hate when people say they're frat bros. You read all the Reddit, you're like, you're wrong, but you're like, relax. No, our relationship was so organic. We became bros immediately. Still are awesome brothers. We talk every day. That was, I have no regrets in that. We all knew that it paid to paint a big target on our backs because we are heavy hitters. We're all athletic. I'd like to say smart and intuitive. First few episodes, Jack, Devontae, Brett, Jack, Devontae, like we're in the top three. And then towards like the middle, we start going to the bottom. And that we knew it was going to be projected that way. Like we knew it was inevitable. So yeah, Jack formed a relationship with Mac. They're still happily in love now. Devontae was working Amanda a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Like I remember telling the boys, like, hey, I work out with Derek every freaking morning. I'm gonna talk to him. And they're like, okay, yeah. Because I was like, I knew in my mind, I was like, I knew or I know that this is gonna play a role later on. Because the first few episodes, you don't see me, right? It's TV, you get portrayed a certain way. I knew I was gonna be some douchebag or whatever. And I was okay with that. And that's fine. I'll sit in the shadows. And the reason why you don't see me a lot is because I'm doing nothing. I'm just observing, seeing people's behavioral traits. I felt like I was Derek in a sense, where I was kind of the detective seeing how people are talking, if their character changes with certain people, overhearing strategies, and I'm just kind of strategizing, playing chess because I knew I don't care who says how much they strategize. I'm going to speak for myself. I knew from my perspective, people are only thinking maybe a few days to a week ahead. I was thinking like weeks ahead. And this isn't me embellishing. That is genuinely what I thought. I was like, I don't care if I'm portrayed a certain way. I don't care if I have to purposefully lose challenges to look bad because I know I'm more athletic than most. And I was like, how can I stay in the game long enough? What relationships can I develop that it's an investment that I'm going to get a return from? So Derek and I, we bonded over, we're from basically the same hometown in Illinois. We bonded over our fathers, sports, and being gentlemen. So they didn't really showcase it a lot. Like in episode 8, I'm so glad they showed our relationship. Him and I were like that probably all the way from like episode 5, but they don't show it. I went to him. They showed the only clip they show really is like, hey, we're both, it's me saying, hey, we're both heavy hitters here. I don't deal with stupid drama bullshit. Neither do you. Let's make an agreement. To go more in depth with that, it was like, hey, I have nothing against you. And we're in the trauma bond. Hate that people effing call it that. I thought that was stupid. Thought that by them voluntarily segregating themselves from like into groups, I thought that was detrimental to everybody's strategy. So I kind of just every time I hear that, I was like, it's so stupid. Like, why stop? Shut up. That's so dumb. Like to this day, I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, why? Anyways, I was like, hey, listen, if I hear anything, like stay with your squad, I'll stay with mine. Every morning or every other morning, we'll chat shit. We'll say, hey, I heard this, X, Y, and Z. I will not disrespect you, your character. I will be 100% honest with you as long as you reciprocate that. And we're like, deal. So our gentleman's agreement played a critical role going into, I think it was episode 9,
Yeah.
the double-headed snake. And yeah, I think that's my answer for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you because, like, again, that to me was like for me, like the move of the season for you, right? That agreement, that partnership with Derek really propelled you because A, you needed a backup plan just in case your boys, am I
Mhm.
gonna pick the girl? Am I gonna pick, it's like, is Jack if with the, in the pressure cooker, will Jack pick McLean or will he pick me? You know what I mean? And you put yourself in a position where it wasn't have to be like that because Derek had your back, and I think you guys even picked one another at some point in time. I think in like episode 6 and 7, maybe when you're up there for the snake.
Mhm.
Now, one of the interesting thing, obviously, you're very competitive. We saw that on many different avenues. But coming out of the fire pit in the finale, right? You see come out in the finale pit, coming out of that out of the pit, and you go right into this next competition. Now, before we talk about the competition, because it went from like I'm super, I'm ready, you know what I mean, to a dice roll being the situation. But talk to me about what's kind of going through your head, because like you're kind of processing Amanda, McLean, they're gone. We're probably going to shift into the night, but instead, you guys are popped right into the next competition. What was that like?
It's definitely unexpected because there's 6 people, so it's like, what's the final going to be? Is it going to be some obstacle course by the river, by these huge waterfalls where they implement this course where it has every single thing we've been like? I was hoping it was going to be something where it's not just athleticism, but it incorporated every single challenge, mental, physical, emotional. That's what I was hoping for. I thought that would have been so kick-ass. I'm not hating on what happened. That's just what I thought. I think everybody's perspective going into the show in general initially was like, oh, we're gonna do some crazy shit. Like we're gonna have to swim through some stuff, do courses. But it wasn't. It was more like one big psychological and emotional operation, right? So after the ceremony, immediately I was like, whatever the hell comes my way, like I'm ready. I just came off a win. Like I started trying once that the shock challenge happened, I was like, all right, now it's my time. Like I've waited long enough. Now I don't have to like play dumb anymore. Like I'm actually gonna like showcase my attributes. So I was like, I had like kind of a chip in my shoulder, not in a cocky way. I was just like, let's like fighting. I'm like, I don't care who I'm going against. Like, let's freaking do this, dude. Like I'm ready to go. And immediately, right when we get back, there's this huge Casino Royale table, all these cameras, Jim's there, and we're like, oh, here we go. Because at this point, you have to always expect something crazy is going to happen. Like Jim will show up randomly and be like, all right, guys, time to get in these outfits and go swim through this shit. And it's like, oh, we don't have a choice. Like, sure. Um, so we got there, and honestly, man, I'm a man of faith. So every time, at every ceremony challenge, like I'd be praying, and I rolled it on my second time, and I didn't even realize it. Like I rolled it, and I was like, "All right, cool." And Jim's like, "And Brett got it." And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm going straight to the finale." Like, shit, I don't have to do the next challenge because I really don't want to do the next challenge. I don't know what it's going to be. They're probably going to make it somewhat cycle. I was like, "I'm good. Let's go." And then it took about, I don't know, they shortened the time, but it took about like 30, 40 minutes for someone else to get another one. Someone like me, Frank, and as you saw, you have to roll snake eyes after me just to stay in the game. You have to get snake eyes, and then it was me, Frank, Jordan, Alyssa. Then it came down to Derek and Jack, and I was like, great. And then it's going to be a 1v4. Like this is great. So Jack ends up getting saved. Him and I were like really happy. We're celebrating, but I was like, wait, we got to kind of dial it back a little bit because Derek, like, he kind of had like this look of defeat, like going into the game. I'm not gonna tell you what Derek was feeling. It was just one of those things, like an intuitive thought, where it's like he just doesn't look like he's feeling good about this. Like his confidence kind of went like, and that's not shade towards Derek. It was just one of those things where it's like he's just not feeling it.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's a competitive nature. Maybe again, neither one of us will speak for him, but it's like almost that competitive nature. It's down to the dice roll. You know what I mean? Like you go
literally,
from the shock challenge of like, where you and Derek were both madman in that entire challenge. You know what I mean? It was crazy to
yeah,
watch that. But you guys withstand that, and then it's like, oh, now my fate is enrolling a pair of die in hopes.
literally,
All right. One of the funny things about this episode is when you're watching everybody do it, you're watching Jack, and you're like you almost want to project out loud like how to help him, but you're like I'm sure you weren't allowed to, obviously. But it was kind of funny watching him just fumble this bag, trying to figure out who the teacher is, for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? What was it like
yeah.
watching the competition unfold and then even watching your fellow brother that you've stood next to the entire season just absolutely struggle trying to figure some of those out?
I mean, yeah, with the dice roll, he kept just tossing it in the air. I'm like, dude, stop freaking tossing it so high, man. Like, just give it a little, give it a little push. And
Yeah.
I don't know, but he finally got it. I was grateful, but it was gonna sound weird, but it was actually like pretty emotional. Like I was like low key kind of get a little sad. I was like, damn, like imagine going all this way and losing because you don't roll the dice correctly. Like I
Yeah.
would be so mad. Like you go
Devastated.
all this way and it's like what up to chance? It's like I was mad with the chum challenge. Like you have to get all these coins, and the more coins you have, you put it into a lottery system. You're telling me I could just put one in there and someone could have 100 and I could still win? I think that's bullshit. Yeah, it made the game interesting. Yeah, it was definitely eventful. Never gonna forget that smell. That smell was. We had like the whole production was in like hazmat suits. Like TV doesn't show how bad it was, and then you had to take showers, and the showers didn't get it off, so they brought in a fire truck to hose us down. But the games that are up to chance, not a big fan of that because it defeats the whole purpose of the game of being strategic and relationships. But I mean, the relationship did that aspect did correlate to the lottery, I want to say, because your relationships did play a role in that. So yeah, the whole up the chance challenges, I wasn't a big fan. I made that very clear in my confessionals. They didn't show it. I was like, this is stupid. Like, why? Why are we doing this? So yeah,
Yeah.
seeing Jack, I was like, dude, like it's like in the box challenge. I couldn't say anything to Jack. I wanted to be like, Jack, if you're confused, turn around and look at everyone else's boxes. They never said you couldn't do that. Like Alyssa and Frank are freaking killing it. Turn around. And I'm like, Jack. And Jack was also sick. I didn't get sick until the day I went to the hotel after the last saving ceremony. I got really sick, but Jack had like the runs and stuff, and he literally had to run off camera and go like to the bathroom in the woods, and they didn't stop the clock either. Like he did. He was very Jack was at a disadvantage physically because he was sick, so that sucked. But yeah, they're like, yeah, you can't say anything. So I'm standing next to Jim Jeffries, and they think there's a photo or a scene where I'm literally standing here like on my knees, like, dude, come on. And once Frank won, I was like, all right, dude, like I love you, man, but I also got to focus on myself right now because like I have no idea what's coming. So it was sad, but Jack knew. It was like one of those things, like because him and I, they show us talking a lot. They build up the bromance, kind of make it really like cinematic and emotional. And him and I, we had a lot of conversations about what's going to happen, all the what ifs. And
For sure.
after he lost the box challenge, I was like, I gave him a hug. I was like, hey man, like obviously I'll see you after this. Like I'll try to get the dub for us.
Yeah, and of course that leads to the finale, right? When are the final moments of the twist that the former snakes were going to be in the pit, and then the twist of the people
Yeah.
in there picking. Now this is obviously where I feel like I was a little bit questioning the decision of keeping John, right? That to me, because I in my head as well, and now of course I'm like standing from 1,000 feet. I'm watching it almost. You know what I mean? Obviously I'm not there, but you're in the snake, you see them in the pit. Talk to me about making that decision. It's almost hard because like who was left, but I almost felt like the moment you didn't pick John, I knew John was going to pick Frankie.
Right. So this is the saving ceremony, the last one. So
Yes, the final one.
yeah, I mean, shout out to Frank. I genuinely have nothing bad to say about him. Alyssa was the only biased one in the pitch. She said, "Hey, if you want to lose $100,000, pick me." So Frank and I, the first decision we have to make is together. Then after that, we have to individually pick. I wanted Jack McLean, Catherine, or Derek. I knew for a fact they were going to pick me. Jacob definitely wasn't going to pick me. John, he claimed that he was different. He claimed he bases everything off statistics, what the people want. I'm like, all right, statistically, bro, you said you're a different politician. In the end, I think if I'm being honest, I haven't even seen the finale yet, so I got to watch it. But I remember saying at the end of it, I said, I believe that you believe you're a different politician. So if we're going strictly off statistics and everything you said, statistically speaking here, I've strategized, I've been honest, I've had integrity, I did every single challenge. No offense to Frank. Frank kind of coasted by. He had the social aspect down, but he kind of coasted by because I personally believe I'm not discrediting his strategy and who he was on the show. He played a great game. I love Frank. But from a competitive point of view, statistically, I did every challenge. I strategized. I was in the pit, not once, not twice, three times. I didn't complain. Frank and Alyssa were in the pit once. I'm like, come on, like, so if we're going based off everything you said, John, if I go down, I'm gonna make sure you look like you're a liar. So if you don't pick me, you're a liar. That's okay. Shout out to Frank. But if you do pick me, then you are who you say you are. So that was like, I made sure I said that because I said, hey, remember when you said you're an honest politician and you want, you're basing everything off the competition itself? Let's see if you're a man of your word. And no shade towards him, but he wasn't. And him and I had a conversation right after. I won't say him and I, it was a good conversation, but from a competitive point of view, do I think it was biased? 100%. I thought I knew, I talked to Alyssa, Jordan, all of them, even all of them were like, holy shit, like, who's he going to pick? Like, that was actually really good. And this isn't to gas myself up. Like, I put my heart on the line there. Like, I'm also trying to win. So, from a personal point of view, shout out to Frank. I have nothing bad to say. Humble in defeat. That's great. I'm happy I took second. Not a big deal. Competitive point of view, yeah, I think it's bullshit. 100%.